Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonis.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonis. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Welcome back. Well, we're covering it all today. Let's talk about Iran. Last week I used the word stalemate. I would stay with the word stalemate. Iran puts forth a 14-point plan, which basically says we'll open up the Strait of Hormuz, but we're not going to talk about any nuclear disarmament or the enriched uranium. Except the whole purpose of the exercise was the enriched uranium. When we started, the Strait of Hormuz was open. And we started this regime change and make sure they couldn't create a nuclear weapon. And now they blockade the Strait of Hormuz. They say, we'll reopen the Strait of Hormuz, but no discussions of nuclear weapons or enriched uranium, which means we would go back to ground zero, start all over again. And we've talked about it every week, but with us this week we have Dr. Nazee Moinian, who was raised in Tehran. And Nazee immigrated with her family to the U.S. At the onset of the 1979 revolution. Nazee holds a Ph.D. in political science, Iran studies from the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. She's an associate fellow at the Middle East Institute in Washington, D.C. She also completed 2 master's degrees from Columbia University School of International Public Affairs and Graduate School of Arts and Science. She also worked with the Council on Foreign Relations, all of which to say is Nazee really knows what she's talking about. And she is Iranian, fled in 1979. So I believe her perspective on this is going to be instructive. We've had a lot of Americans talking about the American point of view. I'd like to understand this from the Iranian point of view, and how their insight will guide us going forward. Nazee Moinian, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon.
So, Nazee, you heard my preview. You know where I stand. There was a little some news today that Iran sent some new signals. The president sent some new signals, but all of it unclear again. What do you think, Nazee? Where are we really, and how do you see this playing out?
Oh, that's the most important question of the week, and thanks for asking it. I believe where we are is exactly what President Trump wanted us to be, what the American policymakers to be handling, which is optionality. He's got optionalities 3 ways, actually. He can attack Iran, which is why we have the 3 USS carriers, Gerald Ford, Abraham Lincoln, and H.W. Bush, about 12 warships, about 200 aircraft, and 15,000 Marines near or around the Gulf. We have another optionality, which is try to talk this out with the Iranians and drag this through another rounds of talk, whether in Islamabad or Oman. I think Doha is out of commission for now. And then we can also, besides bombarding the Iranian infrastructure, we can specifically do coercive diplomacy, which is hold the blockade for as long as it takes, because that's where they're hurting, and try to bring about an outcome that's agreeable to the president which is a fuzzy area at this point. We don't know what we're willing to give and what we're willing to take, and we don't know what the regime is willing to offer, even though right now they're saying they're considering the plan submitted by the U.S.
Yeah. I want to stay with this with Iran, with Nazee. But I also want to take your calls, 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. Nazee, for America to win, I think, for the president to be able to stand up and say, I started a war, I did it without Congress, people questioned me, but we accomplished something. I think he has to say what we accomplished was not regime change. That didn't happen. But we will be sure they can't create a nuclear weapon because we will have international forces who will be on the ground and make sure all the enriched uranium is removed and no uranium is enriched to weapon grade. He would need to say that. From all the rhetoric I've heard, I can't see Iran ever agreeing to that. Can you?
That's exactly right, Governor. Whether I think Iran will agree to it or not, history has shown us that their signature doesn't mean anything, that they will sign so that they can survive another day, so that they can rise from the ashes like Phoenix and try to develop this bomb that they have been concealing, covert operations, sometimes missiles operations, sometimes the bomb, the enrichment of uranium. This is not a system of governance that thinks about being part of the international community. Enmity to the U.S., to the Western world, now to the secular Arab world is part of its raison d'etre. We had the Islamic Revolution of 1979 because Ayatollah Khomeini at the time, the founder of the Islamic Revolution, thought of the West as a corrupting and corrupt society that is subjugating the Muslim world. It's important, Governor, to go back to the origins of the Islamic Revolution because by understanding their philosophy, their indoctrination, we can understand why they're doing what they're doing and why the president is insisting otherwise, because he knows that for the past 47 years, successive American presidents have tried and failed. So he's coming at it from a different angle, telling them, listen, I'm not trusting you, and I don't care whether your economy tanks. You need to show to me that you mean business. And by business, I mean giving up the uranium enrichment, which is exactly as if that's something they're not willing to do. Now they're saying 15 years, but, 15 years is a long time, and we get distracted. We don't have IAEA allowed in their sphere of operation. So we are giving them time to go back to their bad ways. Do we still want to do that? I don't think so. And you're exactly right. The president can say, we're done with this. This is victory. We have allowed them to come to the table and agree on a set of standards that is internationally monitored. But the reality is that we're still far apart. Our worldviews are apart. Our stances are apart. It's hard to find an overlap at this point.
Regime change. Is there any possibility that there's so much pain within Iran that there's an uprising within Iran and that forces a change of leadership? Is that even in the realm of possibility?
Yes, it is, and it was in the realm of possibility, and that's how, Iran is a revolutionary country, for better or for worse. We had a revolution in 1905, 1906, which was called the Constitutional Revolution, and that's exactly what happened, as you said. The pain became too much, that the Bazaris took to the streets. They closed their shops, exactly how this movement started, and they refused to abide by the tenets of the Qajar dynasty, which was the ruling dynasty at that time. What they wanted was justice. We didn't have courts of justice. We didn't have a common law. We had a sort of hybrid Sharia law in Iran that didn't service the people of Iran. What they wanted was not bread, was justice. At this point, what they need is bread and security. And the regime is not going to provide for its own people, because that's not what the regime is about. The regime is about Islamism. It's not about nationalism. And when you have those two very powerful forces coming at each other, you know that there is going to be an uprising somewhere. I doubt, Governor, that it's going to be anytime soon. This is a sophisticated, educated, young Gen Z population. They know the world. They know the societies around the world. They speak English with an American accent. If you hold them on the sidewalk and ask them a few questions, which I've done via FaceTime and Zoom and other stuff. But this is a sort of a population that wants a way out. They're waiting for the right time to do that. And the right time is still not here yet, because the president has told them, don't come out, you're going to get shot. Bibi Netanyahu has told them, this is not the time, let us finish what we set out to do. So, very hungry for change, very much American loving, very much wanting to be part of the Western orbit, not ready to get maimed, disfigured, and killed yet. Again, after the massacres of January 8th and January 9th.
Nazee, thank you so much for a really different and invaluable perspective as we work our way through this. So, Dr. Moinian, thank you very, very much. I hope to have you again soon, unless... praise God that we get this done and this peace even sooner. Thank you for being with us, Dr. Moinian. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure.
In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.